Hey everyone, this is Brimster, and I'm going to try another session of D&D Solo. I've actually been talking to a friend of mine who is a very experienced D&D DM, and as well as running other games. And he's done some looking into solo DMing and all of that sort of stuff as well, and had some chats with him about ideas and things that I could do for this. So I've actually done some stuff in the background, not necessarily to on this campaign, but just in the ways that I'm going to try and run things. I actually have done a couple of things for this campaign, but I'm going to leave that offside. But he recommended you do some general overarching concept planning and not too much, just a few sentences here and there. So as things are happening, you can kind of steer it in a particular direction. And he's spoken to a few people and read up on some things, and having just one or two sentences that you've got in mind as a direction, he says can massively improve the game. So I've done that, and I'm not going to spoil anything for other people because I'm not going to spoil it for my characters either. Yeah, that's the way it's going to work. And I've tried to get more familiar with the books. Of course, that's as soon as I'm on camera, all of that's going to leave my head. So, one of the things that I did notice is that Vint, my character sheet for Vint, because when I set it up, I just did a copy and paste of Romina and modified it. I did leave the dual wielder feat, which is what Romina has on it, which is not actually true. He does not have that. But I'm not. But I did treat it as if I wanted Vint to have a feat when I modified his character sheet. But I actually don't have a feat in mind for him. And I looked through them, and I thought what I would do is, because I'm just going to leave it blank. And people say, but that's not the way the rules work. Well, one of the things about D&D, and he was very, because I turned around and said, I'm kind of breaking the rules here and there in the way I want to run this. He said, one thing to be aware of with D&D in every role-playing game is if the DM agrees and you're the DM, it's within the rules, and it says that in the rulebook. Like if everyone agrees to it, if everyone who's playing agrees to it, then you're not breaking the rules. So I'm going to leave that until later, and I may come up with an official feat, or if I find that there's a gap in a particular ability because I'm only playing with two characters, I can't fill out certain things by just sort of, okay, well, we'll get this character skilled up. I've got to do it all with just these two characters. Then I might use the feat to sort of edge in a particular direction. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, where we were is they'd been taken into Deep Scar, which was mostly a natural cavern, dim lighting from various sources, some magical, some where daylight is being channeled through the caverns. It's a number of medium-sized caverns. So the way I was thinking of it was and thinking about it more, this is just going with the original stuff. So there are different caverns and stuff and caves. There'd be tunnels between those caverns and caves that they would be taken through so that they could be gated and all of that sort of stuff. There might be like little side tunnels and everything off, but within those caverns they may have built buildings, or they may have channeled into things, but they're all different districts. They may have different purposes or different themes. They take her to the traders district, or at least the district where the traders are, rather than directly to a guard area. They do not have offer to help them with their stuff, but it's obvious they're being escorted. People do not seem to consider this unusual. When they arrive at the traders' district, the guards hand them over to the guards in the area. And those guards, I think, very quickly just escort Romina and Vint to... so the traders... they're spoken to in Dwarvish. So the traders in... traders district guards escort R&V to a trader based on what she has with her. So what I was thinking is there would possibly, because they would know the people of the area. So let's come up with a name for the person that she's going to talk to. This is something that has been said I should do. And also try and get into things a little bit more. So is it going to be male or female? 50-50. So it's going to be female. So I've got a book that he recommended I get. It was only a couple of bucks, which is a random table name. So there's 3 female table names. I'm looking on the first one, and I roll a D. He said the names are fairly basic, but what he recommended was I roll twice, and then I combine the two names. So 3 and 91. So I got Wallace and Birdie. So I'm going to go with Bur. It's a dwarf. I'm going to go with Burley. So her name is Burley. So Burley, Burley. It's not the way it's spelt, but it doesn't matter. Burley, the dwarven. So Burley, a female dwarf who is the. Yeah, I'm going to go with gender for now. Gender doesn't really matter that much. It really shouldn't matter, but maybe it will. Anyway, maybe. We'll go with it for now. Removing. There's been a lot of discussions, and a lot of which I agree with, which is remove gender from role playing games. We'll see how we go. But for now, I'm going to keep it because whatever. I was using it for the names tables, and that was prompting me in that direction. But maybe I should just roll on 1d6 name tables and combine them and just not worry about gender at all. I might do that in future. So Burley, the dwarf, let's do it that way, who is in charge of the, let's say, farming stock or farming goods, or let's say, what is it? I can't remember the right words. I'm terrible with words. So the produce area of the trade district. So they approach. They're taken to Burley, and Burley sort of looks up and says, "What's going on?" And sort of the guards says something in Dwarvish, but it's obviously, and the guards mumble back, and it's like, or not mumble, speak quite clearly. It's just Romina and Vint don't speak Dwarvish. They didn't know they would need to. It's like, she sort of looks at them. So, what have you got? And they show the goods. So, this is a sample. She says, "Take no. This is all we could carry." Walks up and this is not much. What are you hoping for here? And who are you? Where are you from? And Romina explains her story. So Romina explains to Burley what is going on. I'm going to do this. I am going to change the name to Red so I could possibly find and that she is here with the last of her farm's goods, trying to get something in recompense for the loss of her family. What are the chances that Burley will recognise by description where this is coming from? Because it's possible Burley is someone her father had dealt with. I'm going to say it's likely. Although no, so it's possible her father had a particular contact he dealt with and never got as far as Burley. The guards have kind of taken them past everything because I did roll low. So, so Burley does not recognise anything from this. It's like, so how favourable does Burley look on it having heard the story? I think not very. So unlikely she's going to be very favourable. But I rolled very well. So Burley does actually go, okay. So Burley says that this isn't worth much. And the chickens have not been well looked after because they've been on the road for a while and there hasn't been a lot of food, and any food they would have given them. Chickens are not well looked after, and everything is sort of in poor quality. The wheat, it was wheat, I believe, wheat or grain. The grain has not been well, I don't know the right terms, farmed or cared for, but she will give a fair price for what it is. At this point, and this is something where my friend had said, have an idea of where you're going to go for something. I think there was an idea. This is where someone comes in, and I need a name for this. So let's do it just a D6 on the tables. So it's going to be table 3, which is male 3, but I'm just using it as name 3, and then I'm going to come up with a name. So someone is going to turn up. 46 and 30. So 30 is Alfred and 46 is Stowe. So not always Storid's a name. At this point, they are interrupted by Storid. And I think I've used the wrong color. So I'm just going to quickly change. Why is that not selecting? I'm just going to change that to, I think it was that. Who has heard that they are here and come to investigate. Storid, he, oh, I'm just going to use he. No, they. They are the one of the heads or captains of the guard and have an idea what is going on and deal with the outside of the city a lot, quite a bit. So Storid is aware of the farm, and I just going to disappear for a second and turn on my air conditioning. And while I was away, I was just reminding myself, if you're wondering about not hearing the dice rolls as much, I'm starting to use one of my dice trays that I pulled out that I haven't used in quite a while. So, Storid sort of knows about the farm and everything, and he sort of interrupts and goes, a fair price? That would be 0, considering these are goods from a farm that is owned by the city, worked by people who work for the city. And at which point Romina and Vint turn and see him. It's like, leave the goods here. I think you should come with me. And the guards who are with him sort of grab them and say, now, how much does Romina stand for this? Like, she came here to do this, and it's like, this is news to her that everything has worked for the city and everything. She thought it was her father's farm. She didn't know any different. So I think she's aware that this guy is serious. He's not kidding. He's not bluffing. There's no insight check needed for this. So I think it's going to be a neutral role. And is she going to, considering she'd just been offered a fair price, is she going to back down? And I'm just going to do this as a neutral role. No, no, she's not. Storid says, tells R&V that they should come with him and that the goods belong to the city because the farm is owned by the city and was worked by her father, who was employed, was the word he used, by the city. Romina, having been offered a fair price, does not back down. So she's going to make an intimidation check to basically go, I was offered a fair price. I want some money for what I brought. I did this. I didn't know. So she's going to make an intimidation check against someone who is incredibly comfortable. He's in charge of guards. He's in the right legally. And like, she's in his turf. Like, this is absolutely not going to be something that is easy for her. So I'm going to call this difficulty very hard. So this is going to be a hard intimidation check. So this will be a hard, is it intimidate? Again, I'm going to go to the skills page and have a look. I think that was around 170 something. Again, I'm deliberately using the books because I want to. It's not persuasion. Yeah, she's going to basically try and intimidate him into this, or at least the trader. So yeah, I think I'm going to push for intimidation on this one. She's going to go hard. So this will be a hard intimidation check to see if she can get some coin out of Burley before she is taken away. She is under no doubt that that's going to happen. So, and the question is, will Storrid back down and everything, and will Burley like give in to her pressure with Storrid standing there, which is why it's hard. So how hard is it going to be? I think it's likely to be very hard, like 20. So I'm going to roll a d20 to see just how hard it's going to be. Like, if it's a yes, it's going to be a 20. If it's a no, it's going to be a 15. It is absolutely a 20. So DC 20 is what she's after. Um, and what is her intimidation? She has +3, so it is doable. I mean, she could always roll a 20 anyway. So it's a DC 20 intimidation check. So see how we go here. She misses, but not by much. So Romina rolls a 16 and almost makes it. Storrid, Burley goes to hand Romina some coin, and Storrid steps in and blocks them from doing so. So Burley was like, yeah, she fair enough, and is literally like counting out coins as she's talking, and at the end is about to hand some to her, and Story was no. Like, Romina, how pissed is Romina at this? Probably a lot, but I'm going to make it neutral because she's aware this guy is in charge. Yeah, she's on edge. Like, she's really on edge. So the rest of this is going to go. So Romina is comfortable. So this was kind of a neutral role. Is going to be on edge with Storrid for a while. Okay, so that's the situation we're in. The guards and Storrid lead Romina and Vint off to a guard. I'll say guard house, but it's a location controlled by the guards for a polite chat. Turn down my music a little. For this, I'm listening to the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power soundtrack. I highly recommend it. It's a really cool soundtrack. Whether you like the TV series or not, the soundtracks, there's one per episode and they're like an hour long, or they vary. Really, really cool. If you're on Spotify or YouTube Music or anything, really worthwhile. So we've got Storrid. I quite like this random name generation method I was given into. So yeah, it's the book is called the Book of Random Tables, and it has 6 name tables. And yeah, he basically, my friend said, roll on the tables, and roll twice, and then use the names that you roll as an inspiration for something. And if it doesn't work, just roll again. And yeah, this is working well. I'm terrible at names, and this has been cool. I've come up with 2 names that I'm happy with. Completely, yeah, very happy with it. Okay. So, that was the interior of Deep Scar, the trading, and we'll now turn around and say this is going to be at the guardhouse. And this is going to be a heading 3. Okay, so we have Storrid is the NPC they are dealing with. And I'm going to again put this in the red that I use, which is that one, with regards to their situation. And I might do that as like a summary. So if I put that in italics, it sort of highlights what's going on. Okay, so they arrive at the guardhouse. I don't know that I need to. So When they're going through the town, do they get the feeling that this is like a military town? Like, is it heavily fortified, or does it feel more like a traders town? Like, do they feel like there is a strong military presence here? Now, they're being escorted by guards or anything, so I think that it's more likely that they are, because they're going to be they're with people who are armed and everything. But just looking around, do they get the feeling that this is a sort of a rough place with sort of a military vibe? Like, does it feel like a military camp to them? Yes, it does. So, moving through the town, R and V get the impression this is a heavily armed town with a, um, a military vibe to it. Um, Lots of people wearing armor of some sort, and many, if not, there's a U in armor. Uh, most people are armed. Okay, so they get to the guardhouse, and they're not arrested, but they're taken into a room, which could probably Storid's office, and they sit down. It's like time for a chat, and Storid basically gets their story off them. And he Is there someone else in the room? I think it's likely there is someone else in the room. Probably not like one of the guards that escorted it, but sort of an assistant or something. Yes, there is. So there is some, and it's a yes and. So is there someone else in the room? Yes and. So is it someone important, like more important than Storid, but they don't know that? Yes. So this is someone who doesn't introduce themselves and isn't called out, doesn't make, doesn't call attention or explain their attendance, but unknown to R and V is actually more important. We might get to that later if it comes up. So, because that first roll of like, are they an important person, was a 19 on the die. So, okay, that was a and. So what's the end going to be? Okay, so Storage sits them down and gets their story off them. So why are you here? What happened? What happened to your father? And pardon me, Romina explains all of that. Explains about the blight, and that's the point where um, I'm going to make an insight check, because when Romina explains about the disease that killed, I didn't mean this to have a disease theme, but that's when I rolled the initial idea of the thing. It was like family wiped out and everything, and what was it? And it turned out to be a disease. It was just something that came up, a disease that killed her family, and that she was the only survivor that gets some attention from both of the dwarves in the room. Insight check, not that hard. So from both Romina and Vint, because they're both there. It's just, as I've said before, Romina is kind of the main character of this. I just find it more comfortable to have one character who's the lead and the other one is a secondary. That could change. There might be an adventure where Vint is the main character, but for now, this is Romina's story. So I'm going to roll 2 insight checks to see how that goes. So Romina rolled better than Vint. Romina gets the impression that her survival is something of interest to them. Do they question her specifically about the disease? Probably yes. So Storid asks specifically about the disease, how it looked and how quickly it went through her family. Now, this is actually an interesting question. I haven't actually gone through that. So, how quick was it? There's no tables for this. So, I think it's likely, considering what happened, that it was sort of a slow progression. So, it happened probably over a couple of weeks. So, ooh, no, no, and. So, does that mean it was faster? Yes. Okay. So, she explains the disease um, happened, and I'm sorry if the microphone is jiggling and making noise, but I'm typing a lot more than I do when I solve Sudoku. The disease happened quickly over about a week, um, and from the first sign to her whole family being dead. Um, how did it present? So let's do a weird one. Let's do presented as red, orange, yellow, green, blue. So it is presented as purple patches on the skin. I think it's likely there was bleeding from. Yeah, no bleeding. Um, did they then fester? Yes, which then festered and oozed. Was it a normal sort of oozing, or was it something else? It was normal. Um, and did the person like become unable to like eat or drink or anything? No. So was it just that they wasted away? Yeah. And then over a few days, they wasted away and eventually stopped breathing. Um, she never showed any signs of being sick at all. So the dwarves are interested in this one. And there's some discussion that happens between them in dwarvish. Um, so the question is, while they're talking about this, what is Romina and Vint going to do? I think at this point they're going to ask Vint some questions. So they ask Vint, were you on the farm and everything? So they question Vint. He says he has not encountered the disease, but explains that due to his training, he is less worried about disease than most people. Now, druids eventually, I believe, become immune to disease completely. Now, they're not immune, but I think they do start off fairly resistant or something. I'm just going to check that again. I'm using the books because that's what I wanted to do. I could look this up. Now, for monsters, I'm using the. I might use the computers a bit more, but so what do they eventually get? I think it's like very late that they become. I mean, I'm thinking about. I could be wrong. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something else. Ah, one of the circles becomes immune to disease at level 10. So that might be what I'm thinking of. So it's possible if he goes that way, which is what I was thinking. So he tells um, the dwarves he his training. Yeah, I've already noted that his training is less worried about disease than most people, um, and that he has specific knowledge of how to fight infection within himself. Um, they question him about that, and he explains that he's a druid. And you're a stone talker. Um, uh, they hear he is a druid. They ask if he is a stone talker. It's like, no, but I am becoming more one with the land as time passes. So stone talkers are to be respected. He explains that he is learning to be one with nature and the land. Okay. So there's more discussion in Dwarvish. Now, this is the point where I think Romina has to make I think it's a charisma saving throw to just not lose her nut because she was already edgy. So let's make a charisma saving throw. She makes it. So it is clear to the dwarves, however, that Romina is bursting to, is not happy with the situation and wants to make some sort of scene. But she is controlling herself. Okay. This is where Storrid explains that in detail the situation where the city owned her father's farm and all the land around here. The dwarves are in complete control. The dwarves claim ownership over all lands and properties, and all people who work these lands are serfs to the dwarves, who owe them tithes, and all goods are owned by the city. Basically, he explains the dwarves, this is our land. You're working our land. Your father was one of our, kind of skirting around the word slaves, but it's kind of where he's going with this one. So yeah, that's what's going on. And it's like, does she react well to this? Probably not, but she kind of understands the situation and doesn't lose it. It's like, but I worked that land for you. I brought those goods to you. What do I get? Possibly the correct response. Now, the thing that's interesting, and this is kind of a little bit set up in advance, though I didn't know it at the time, is, and this came a little bit between sessions, is the disease that's been going around didn't just hit her family. It's been going around up above ground a bit. And the dwarves have been hit by it. And if they've not encountered other people who are immune, and if Romina was not infected by the disease, and if they've got a druid working with her, maybe what they can do is offer her a job. So it's like, But the way they would word this is like, you're on our land, you work for us. So what you're getting is, we're not going to imprison you for attacking the guards. So what she is offered is, instead of being arrested and put to work in the labor camps, or labor, uh, in the labor, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Labor pits, that'll do, um, for attacking guards of the city. She will be put to work above ground doing errands for the city, earning her keep along with Vint. So basically, they're hiring her, but she won't be earning a lot. Um, you know, anything she gets will be the property of the city, but generally good employees do get to keep some of what they earn while dealing with challenges, unexpected challenges. In other words, adventures. The alternative, you've already said that, instead of being put in the labour pits, because the alternative is she's arrested and put in the labour pits. Turns to Vint and is like, you were obviously just backing up your friend. You could go, or you can go stay with your friend. Vint is offered to be, because he didn't attack the guards, he just trapped them. Released if Romina decides to actually be arrested instead of working for the city. Now, I think it's nearly impossible. So, working for, what's the name of the city again? Deep Scar. So I'm actually going to say Deep Scar. Working for Deep Scar. Now, I think it's nearly impossible that Vint is. Sorry, I think it's incredibly likely that Vint is going to choose to stay with Romina, no what, and will say so before Romina makes a choice, because Romina is like, sort of eyes darting around, not sure what she's going to do. So I'm going to roll for Vint. Now, is there anything in Vint's character that is relevant to this? I don't think so. But yeah, I think he's just going to roll, and I think it's likely. So, like, +5, that he's just going to choose to stay with her. And even a no is like, no might mean that if she decides to be arrested, he will begrudgingly leave her. But I think, like, he's going to choose to go with her decision. And he does. Like, he's actually going to go with her decision. Um, Vint states that he will stay with Romina no matter what. This will sway Romina. Um, Romina is surprised at this. Now, is she actually? Yeah, not really. So, no. So now Ramina's got a decision to make. I think it's nearly impossible, so -8, that she's going to choose to not take the job and therefore be arrested. So let's make a roll. Okay, so, oh, sorry, it's the other way we'd do it is, is she going to take the job? And the way is not nearly impossible. It's the other way. I'm trying to remember how this works. So improved Oracle, it's almost a certainty is the way I should have done it. I've been doing this right here. It's not likely, highly likely. It's a certainty that she's going to take the job. And she does. She's not like over enthused about it. It's like, I'll work for you. It's like, you're not presenting me with any choice. So she's not exuberant about it, but she agrees to work for the town. Now, having someone, so this is where I think Storrid is going to be their contact. Is Storrid going to be their contact? I think it's likely. Yes. So moving forward at the guardhouse. So moving forward, Storrid is going to be their contact in town. Didn't even know this guy's name. I knew there was going to be someone like him. He will assign them work to be done, mostly in, what do they call it? Mostly above ground. Mostly above ground. I don't know. I might come up with a better name for it. Mostly above ground. Actually, what I might, mostly above ground. Um, he explains that. So yeah. So I'm just going to mark that as what's going on right now. So why did that not just do that? Right. So first mission. So they've traveled. So payment for their goods. She does push for payment for the goods, but not very well. Payment for their goods will be Storrid will arrange for them to have a place to sleep in the city where they should not be overly disturbed, and a couple of good meals before they will need to leave tomorrow on their first mission. He tells them to come back here tomorrow and to deal and to get their first mission. So, night in the city. So let's do their first night in the city. I've no idea how this is going or whether this is fun, but I'm having fun, whether it's fun to watch. So, what I wanted to do is, I think it's this book has concepts of districts. So, I possibly want to roll for the type of district, but where are they going to be? They're not going to be, I think they're going to be kept in, they're not going to be in an adventurer's district or anything like that. So let's roll to see what sort of districts there are in town. So if I go back to here and I go back to Deep Scar, I possibly need actually, I'm just going to put it in here for now. So I possibly need sort of not just the journal, but a document which is tracking sort of what places are and everything. So what districts are in Deep Scar? Okay, so the way they say to roll on this is for a town, you'll get 6 to 13 districts. Now, you will get a artisan district. Now, I'm just using the tables. I might change this later. A commodities, a government. Now, these are the different chambers, but they may be spread out. But these are the sort of things that you will expect. A home and hospitality. These are the terms used in the book. A military and a residential. Now, they said the district sizes are at least 2 blocks each larger for residential, but now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's going to be, what is it, 6 to 13. So 7, 8, what is it, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if I roll a d8 and add d8 minus 1 more districts. Okay, that's not many more districts. So is there any of these that I specifically need? I don't need adventurers. I don't need arcane. I've got artisan. Don't need commerce. Got commodities. Don't need divine. Don't need entertainment, illicit industries. Not in a town that's this terrible or this militaristic. Government, home and hospitality I've got. Military I've got. Personal services I don't really need. Scribes I don't need. Smiths. So I'm going to add a smiths district for sure. And that gets me done. So I think they're basically going to get put up. It's probably not in the commodities district. Now, there was something about things in the different districts. But it's possible. It's either going to be the. I think it's possible they're put up in like of a small place in the government district. So I'm just going to say just do a standard roll for that. Yeah, they are. So they are put up in a small hovel almost in the government district. It's not. It's unlikely to be anything good. Yeah, it's terrible. It's basically a lean-to near a building where they are only protected from the street by a hanging blanket, but it provides better privacy than being on the street. It is because of where it is, there are other people around here that are in their situation. Obviously, visitors to town who are told to stay in these places while they are here. How now the guard presence? How present is the guard? I get the feeling that sort of in these places, like the reason they're in the government district is there be a large guard presence. So yes, but no. So they while they are here, they see as many guards as they do, almost as many guards, other people, especially. Oh, that's not. I think the guards basically point them in a particular direction. Go here for food. Give them like a stone token, and it's like go here. This will get you a meal. And they're basically told to go to a place, and they hand over the stone token, and the innkeeper, who is basically a bit gruff, is like, and gives them a token. And I'm not going to roll too much on that yet. I am going to check to see if anything weird happens. There is a disturbances chart that might teach them something about the town. So disorder in a town like this is because it's got a strong leadership because of the sort it is. And it's not a relaxed leader, it's a strict leader. So the chance of there being a disturbance is actually really low. So the chance of there being something going on, yeah, nothing happens. So they go to dinner, they're given their chit, they pass that over, and they're given like a meal, and it's not a terrible meal. The dwarves eat well. Um, it's not chickens. um, and they um, they basically go to their lean-to, and do they trust the dwarves enough to actually sleep? I think they. Vint does. Romina is still doubtful. So Romina probably doesn't sleep as well as she could. So Vint is comfortable sleeping here, but Romina has a very uncomfortable night. Not sure what she feels about being here. Um, so they are given a token with which to purchase a meal. It doesn't get them anything other than the meal and some water. Um, um, and when they go back in the morning, they go back to the place in the morning, and they are given another meal for dinner and in the morning for breakfast. The It's not a restaurant or anything. It's an innkeeper directs them to where they can wash after they have had breakfast in the morning. It's not fancy. Before they return to what was his name? Storrid. So this doesn't deserve a full heading. I'm going to take that back because, yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tables to, and this is a book called the Tome of Adventure Design, um, which was recommended, and I've not used this before, so I'm going in blind. So what sort of mission is being generated? The way they recommend is you roll and you generate a quest name, and then you use that to try and do it. And I know I haven't used the D800 table yet, but I'm going to use that after I've got a quest name. So 37. So this is an item quest. So let's generate quest name. So let's put in here first quest and make this a heading. So generate quest name. So we've got 37. So it is an item. Generate quest. Uh, so item quest, and then I roll on the item quest table, and it is sorry, this isn't a quest name method. So sorry, one of the books does a quest name method, and the other one, this one in this book, which is the one that was recommended to me, actually gives a sort of a way that it works. So 45 is hide, so need to hide. This may not work. 19, hide a clue. Yeah, I'm not sure how that one's going to work, but let's jump to the D800 table and see if that gives me anything. So let's roll some D800s and see if I can get anything on what hide a clue might be. So let's do some keywords here. And I could use the same keywords for other things. So I've got 675. 675 is punish. Well, this is not good. 790. That's right at the bottom of the list. cover. And 322. Right, back to the top of the big list. 322. Indication. Punish makes me think it's a person quest. So I'm going to actually re-roll on a person quest. So I'm going to make it an individual mission. So I'm going to ignore the fact that it was an item and change this to an individual, because punish leads in that direction. So let's change this up, because the whole point is it's supposed to be fun, and I'm using the keyword to change the direction. And I have no problem with this. So I want something that's going to work for the flow of the story. So what do I have? I have 51 is get help from. So get help from, not form. 94. So that's roll on a patron table. So there's a very large patron table here, which is a D1000. Okay. 199. Commander of the Secret Police. No, they're not doing that for him yet. So I'm going to re-roll patron. 590. This is a very long table, because these are all individual entries. Nope. Not going to do a military leader either. 110. Like maybe later in their career. Nope, that doesn't work for above. So what sort of person? I mean, this table may be biased towards incredibly like powerful people or anything. I don't know. I've not used this table before. So this was an 86. It's got to be a spy at 86, doesn't it? Again, it's another official person. This is not. So 650. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm just going to go back to more keywords. Outlaw. Outlaw could work. So punish outlaw, but get help from outlaw doesn't work. So, okay, let's go with outlaw. So there is an outlaw involved, but let's go back to the first table. And so this is way above, and see if there's a different way above. If there is a different individual thing that I can do. So let's roll on this again and see if I can get something a bit better. 97. Waylay is not. Well, Waylay might be correct. So let's have a look. So Waylay outlaw. Okay. Punish cover indication. That kind of works. So someone above who has been causing a problem. Is it a problem with supplies from other farms? And the guards would normally go deal with it, but with the plague running around, they're worried about it? Yes. So, what we have here is... So we're going to call it Stop the Raiders. This is a terrible quest name, and I would never live with this, but I'm doing the... Normally when I do this sort of thing for my own games, I will sort of come up with a title, and then I will roll with it, and then I will plan it all out, and as I'm developing things, everything will change. But I'm doing this on the fly. So this feels a lot weirder, because I'm kind of committing to stuff before I even know what I'm doing. So there's going to be food supplies that have been cut, is my expectation, and they expect an outlaw has been involved. So, yeah, that's what they've been told. So, how do they know food supplies have been cut? Is it just that there's particular supplies that are due that haven't arrived? Actually, that could work. So, they may not know that there has been an outlaw. So, or stop the outlaw. I'm going to call it Stop the Outlaw. but they don't know that it's an outlaw. Or uh, find the missing shipment. Find the missing shipment. So there is an out. It's a Wayland outlaw keywords. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so um, backstory is shipments from several farms have been delayed. They um, the dwarves suspect that farms have been hit with the disease and are avoiding going to check. Unknown to the dwarves and RNV, there is a small group of outlaws stealing the food after they had lost their. Oh, I don't know why. Stealing the food. Are they doing it to survive? Absolutely. Um, in order to survive. Okay, so there's the background. So there's the background. Background. Let's not say background. Let's just call it background. So this is the background of the quest. So all the dwarves know is that they're being sent to a particular farm. I'm going to take a break in a minute. Am I going to end it there for this session? It's been another hour, possibly. I may actually do another session today because I'm really enjoying this. Yeah, I might end it there. So yeah, I'll take a short break. Hope you're enjoying this. I am. I will probably be back. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you're enjoying the series. Please feel free to leave a comment or anything about what you're liking, what you're not liking. Yeah, thanks everyone.